All right, we're about to dive into a text that asks some of the biggest questions you can possibly imagine, the 29th word. We're going to break down its really deep arguments about unseen worlds, the nature of life itself, and, what might happen after we die. It's a pretty intense journey, so let's just get right into it.
So, right off the bat, the text challenges a perception that I think we all have. You look up at the night sky, at the sheer vastness of space. Are you really just staring into an empty void? Or could it be that it's actually filled with a kind of life we just can't see? This one question right here sets the stage for everything else that's coming. And the logic here is, it's just fascinating. The author is basically saying that a universe filled with all this intricate art and beauty, well, it can't just be an empty theater, right? The very existence of all this cosmic beauty implies that there must be beings out there to admire it. It's a really poetic and powerful way to start things off.
Okay, so building on that idea, our first section is all about the text's case for a cosmos that is just teeming with unseen inhabitants, what it calls angels or spirit beings.
Okay, check this out. The argument kicks off with a really simple analogy. Think about our planet, Earth. In the grand scheme of the cosmos, it's a tiny, insignificant little speck. And yet, it is absolutely packed to the brim with intelligent life. So the text asks a pretty logical question. Why would the vast, majestic heavens, these huge, grand palaces of the universe, be completely empty and lifeless? It just doesn't add up.
And to really hammer this point home, the text tells this brilliant little story. Imagine two guys visiting a huge city. One's a bit of a brute, the other is wise. They stumble upon this tiny, miserable factory, and it's just crammed with workers. Then they look up and see thousands of incredible, magnificent palaces in the distance. The first guy, seeing no one, just says, they must be empty. But the wise man points out the obvious logic. If this tiny, wretched little factory is full, then you better believe those grand palaces have their own suitable, high-ranking inhabitants. The universe, the text is telling us, is just like that city.
All right, let's move on to the next part and see how this all connects. See, to really understand the argument for spirits and immortality, you first have to grasp how the text redefines reality itself. It puts life and consciousness right at the very center of everything.
So, this is absolutely crucial. Life isn't just some byproduct of matter. No, the text argues that life is the main event. It's the light that illuminates the entire universe, the one thing that gives existence any meaning at all. I mean, think about it. Without life to perceive it, existence would be basically the same as non-existence.
And this comparison is so powerful. On one hand, you've got this huge, lifeless mountain. It's totally isolated, orphaned, connected only to the patch of ground it sits on. Now contrast that with one tiny, living bee. Through life, that little bee is connected to the entire world. The whole earth becomes its garden. In this view, life is what creates connection and purpose out of total isolation.
And all of this leads to a pretty radical conclusion. In this worldview, matter, it isn't the fundamental reality. It's just a servant, a shell, a vehicle. The real, enduring reality that matter serves is life and spirit. You could say matter is just the temporary husk for a permanent kernel. Okay, so now we take that concept and apply it directly to us. If spirit is the master and matter is the servant, what on earth does that mean for the human spirit when our physical body dies? Well, the text sees the body as something like temporary clothes. You change your clothes all the time, but you are still you, right? It's the same idea. Your body cells are constantly changing, but your spirit, that sense of I, that stays constant. The body is a temporary house, but the spirit is the resident, and it can endure even when the house is gone. See, the spirit is simple. It's not made of parts, so it's not subject to the decomposition that breaks down a complex body. And the text grounds this whole idea in a key verse. The argument is, if the spirit comes not from the world of matter, but from the enduring world of the divine command, well then its very nature isn't temporary. It belongs to a totally different, permanent order of reality. So, okay, if the spirit is immortal, where does it go? What's its ultimate destiny? This brings us to the text's really dramatic vision of the end of this world and the beginning of a new one. The picture the text paints here is truly cosmic. I mean, the sun gets rolled up, the stars fall from the sky, the oceans boil over, the entire universe is shaken to its core and then purified. It's not just an ending, it's this violent and total transformation to get everything ready for what comes next. But why does this have to happen? Well, the text argues that resurrection isn't just something that could happen, it's a logical necessity. Divine wisdom wouldn't create this perfect, orderly universe just for it to fizzle out into nothing. Divine mercy wouldn't create beings that can love so deeply only to have it all end in eternal separation. Even our own deep-seated gut feeling, that desire for eternity, points to its reality. And this is a big one. For there to be real justice, the scales have to be balanced.
And I gotta say, I love the analogy the text uses here to make this huge concept feel totally intuitive. It argues that recreating the universe is actually easier than creating it the first time around. Think of it like this. Reassembling soldiers who already know their regiment, that's way simpler than training a whole new army from scratch, right?
And that leads us to the ultimate purpose of this whole shebang, the establishment of a final, perfect, and absolute justice for every single soul. Okay, let's just walk through the logic. We all see this in our world, right? Cruel people often live in total comfort, while good people really suffer. Then, death comes along, and it seems to make them both equal. But the text argues that if that's the end of the story, that's a massive injustice. Therefore, divine wisdom and justice demand a final assembly, a supreme court, where rewards and punishments are handed out fairly and the eternal potential of the human spirit is finally fulfilled.
So what this means is that this world, our world, is fundamentally a testing ground. It's an arena where opposites, good and evil, beauty and ugliness, belief and denial, are all mixed together and clash. This clash isn't some accident. It's the very thing that allows the true nature and quality of every spirit to be revealed. The final resurrection, then, is this great purification. It's the moment when this temporary, chaotic mixture is finally resolved. All the elements get separated, and each one finds its permanent, proper place. Good is sorted from evil, light from darkness, and this culminates in the final realities of paradise and hell.
And so, after all that, we're left with this one question. The text really challenges us to reevaluate everything. Look, whether you agree with its conclusions or not, it forces you to consider this profound alternative. What if the universe isn't just a random collection of matter, but a book filled with meaning, a message just waiting for you to read it? What changes for you if you start looking at the world that way?